Hello everyone. Well, the day has finally arrived and my 3D printer is here in my hot little hands. So I finally get to unbox it for you all and we get to see what this looks like and how it goes together. So let's get started. The package arrived pretty well from China. It came quicker than I thought. I was surprised. My wife was like, it's there on the front porch. I don't want to touch it. Let you get it, because she didn't know how heavy it was. And it's not too bad. It's a pretty good weight, but it's not massively heavy. And I wasn't expecting it for another 2 weeks. So I was very pleasantly surprised that it was here. Let me cut through this tape here, all on this one side, and we'll cut through the tape on this side, and we'll cut through the tape here across the top. A real-time unboxing. Okay, we'll put that to the side. We shouldn't need too many tools. Most of them should be in the box already, anything that you need. So, I'm going to spin around this way for this one. And then I'll spin it around this way for this one. Good. Okay. Fold that down. Perfect. Okay, so we have a nice foam protective padding on the top. We'll put that to the side. And we have, looks like we have some last minute instructions about the slicing software and some settings that we need to put in. So we'll make sure that will probably make a lot more sense once we get it up and running. We have the 3D printer user manual. Comes in its own nice little plastic bag, along with a triangular qualified certificate. That's pretty cool. Put that over there. Okay, so we have the user's manual, notes, assemble the 3D printer, use the 3D printer, that's pretty good. Labeling all the parts, the parameters. Here's the parts list. We have a base frame, the gantry. Those kind of are the two biggest components. Then we have the display, the rack, the spool that holds the filament. Power cord is very important. And then we have some just basic nuts and bolts that hold it all together. And then here's all the tools that come with it. The tools are for putting it together as well as maintaining it once it's running. And then we have step-by-step instructions on how to put it together. And I've seen a few YouTube videos already of people who have had theirs before me and their recommendations for how to make sure that it is ready to go when you put it together. Things like making sure all the nuts and bolts are tightened because they may have loosened during shipping. And this is cool. We have an actual layout of the circuit board showing us where everything is. Troubleshooting, Very nice. And after sales service card. So if there is an issue, we know who to contact about everything. Excellent. Now I'm going to fold this up and keep it with the booklet and everything. That's going to go back in here. So we don't lose it. Okay. So now I'm going to slide this box down this way. And then I'll have a little bit of extra space here to place things. So the biggest thing I see right now is this box of filament, which is very nice for them to include. And it looks like it's white. And it comes vacuum sealed in this heavy plastic bag. And that is because filament, most filament, tends to want to draw moisture out of the air, and some filaments do it worse than others. So it is wise to keep your filament dry and isolated from moisture as much as possible until you're ready to use it. So that's why that's kind of vacuum sealed in there. This is the spool holder. Here is the power cord. Put those to one side. That's everything in there. Here is the handle. It's a nice metallic handle for if you need to move the machine. I don't know how much movement I will be doing with it, but it's always nice to have. Here we have the nuts and bolts that put everything together. Not too many, just a handful. That's nice. And then this would be the screen, the touch screen that controls everything. Very nice. Has two screw holes here, ready to go. I'm going to put that down there. And here we have the rest of the spool holder. This is the part that actually attaches to the machine. And it articulates like this to fold out of the way. And here we have the tubing and some electronic parts, connectors. And then these are the actual nozzles that extrude the filament. And I ordered some extra parts, so I assume these are the extra filaments. And these are the extra pieces that I ordered for the machine, just in case something needs to be replaced. Because you do go through the printer heads, the part that extrudes the filament. You rarely need to change those out anyway. So let's take out this first piece of foam. There we go. That is all empty. I can go down here. And so now we get to the big boys. We have the gantry, I believe they called this. And then we have the bed. So let's pull up on this straight up. Nice solid metal pieces. We're going to put this down to the side, kind of off camera for now, because we need space to be able to get this out. So let's free it from its foam packaging. It's very well packaged, that's for sure. There is nothing that is rattling around. It is all kept very secure. I appreciate that. And so now we have the bed. Let's see. I may see if I can pull it up this way. This is definitely the heaviest part. Place it here. And we are done with this box, so we can get it out of the way. And place that on the table where its home is going to be. Move that there. And we'll bring the gantry back up here. Now, the thing I like about this is that it is pretty simple to put together. The various components have already been assembled, and there's only a few things that you need to attach to each other to make it work. So, solid metal construction all the way through. This is the nozzle. You can see here that extrudes out the filament which comes through this tube here. So now the next part to do is pull out the bolts that we're going to need to put it together. We're going to keep these in the bag because I don't want them rolling around all over the place. And here we should have our drawer full of tools, which are very nicely packed. We have a spatula, which is used to remove the printed piece from the bed if it gets stuck. So that's kind of a delicate operation, but it's nice to have it there to just kind of pop it off. We have some stickers from Creality. Very nice. We have a wire for cleaning out the filament out of the print head if it gets clogged. A very delicate piece there. We have an SD card for loading up files into the printer. We have a nice little pair of clippers for trimming off the filament before we insert it, so we have a nice clean edge. We have a wrench tool, which we're going to use, I assume, to assemble. We have Allen wrenches, which we're going to use to assemble. And we have a regular wrench, which is used for tightening the print head. At least it may be used for other things. We have some miscellaneous pieces. We have some more print heads and some clips that may wear out or fall off. And then finally we have a USB drive for loading up files onto the printer as well. So we have a nice variety of tools, and we will put those in. That fit in there somehow. I'll make sure. I'll deal with that later. Okay, so let me read up exactly on how to put this together, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so here we have the base which is the bed on which the print is placed. And here we have the gantry, which has the print head. And to put it on, it needs to rest on these two spaces on either side of the bed. And we have 4 simple bolts that hold it on. So, nothing too complicated. Let's see. Yep, okay. So this is the wrench that we need. We have 2 bolts on this side and then 2 bolts on the other side. So I'm going to feed the bolts up through here first. There we go. They can drop down a little bit, but they don't fall out. That's good. Okay, so now we've got those in place, and the gantry fits into these 2 grooves on either side. They're not very deep, but they're there just to indicate where it needs to go. So I'm wondering if I can just get one of these started. Up inside. Okay. That does not seem to be working. So I'm wondering if I can just tilt the whole thing on its side. And go from there. Go ahead and pull these out. Put that like that. I know this is made of solid metal, but still there's part of me that wants to be very careful with it. Since it is still somewhat a delicate mechanism. But now at least I can see the screw and the hole it needs to go into. There we go. We get one of them lined up. Theoretically, the next one should follow. So now I'm not going to tighten these down tremendously. I'm just going to get them in there. I want to put as little stress on this as possible. Okay. Now we have the next. Getting it seated in. I know you probably can't see what I'm doing at this point in time. And then we can tighten these down pretty tight. Since this does have a handle on top, it is made to be picked up. And I can tighten these down here as well. Just flip back and forth for now. Don't want this going anywhere. Yep, okay, those are nice and tight. Nice and tight. Nice and tight, okay. We also have some here. Just want to make sure they are snug. Just in case. So we'll do one more time. Now it's feeling much more like a single unit, not as two separate pieces. Yeah, there are a few of these that were a little loose. And that is the main assembly, which is awesome. This is the bed, which moves back and forth. This is the tensioner for the belt. You can see the belt here. That provides one plane of movement. We have a belt up here. Then we have these two screws on either side, which are linked across the top by a belt. And it says to screw it down part way. I think that's to make it easier to work with. Now we also have the print head that goes across like this. And it runs on two wheels at the top and one wheel at the bottom. And we have another belt tensioner here. We can check how tight that belt is. And then we have two wheels and another wheel there as well. Okay. Now, we're going to turn it around like this so you can see the next part, which is putting on the spool holder. And the filament comes off the spool and it enters into here. And it comes around. This provides the gears that actually grip the filament and push it through down into the print head. So we will want That screws on there. And it should just snap in. There we go. And then it folds out of the way and you don't need it. Excellent. And now the next bit goes on this side, and that is the LED screen. And it is held in place by two of these screws. Making sure the tool will fit. One. And two. We'll tighten this down. Nice and snug. We don't want any vibration introduced when this is moving around. These holes in these screw heads are just the exact right size. So oftentimes this Allen wrench does not want to fit into the holes. Either that or the Allen wrenches are made just a little too big. Like very precise. Okay. So now we can take off the protective cover. And now the next thing is the handle that goes on top. And that is held in place by two screws and a kind of interesting washer that fits into this groove here on the top. So we drop in the screw, and then we screw in try to hold it in place. There we go. Do the same thing on this side. Actually, I think there's a little bump on one side of this washer, and I think that's the side that's supposed to go up and face the screw. Because I think it corresponds to the thickness of this metal here. So we rotate them I can get them a little tighter. Sorry if this is not the most professional assembly video, but that is what you got. Okay, so now when I finish turning these, the washer inside should spin that way. That should cause it to latch in with friction. We'll see. I don't know that I would trust that to hold up the entire system. So this has turned from learn how to do 3D printing with me to learn how to assemble a 3D printer with me. Mistakes and everything. Okay. I had it a little too tight to begin with. I don't think I'll be picking it up by this. I don't see a reason why I would need to. Maybe for like positioning it on the table, but certainly not for walking around with it or transporting it. Okay. So seems to be on there pretty tight. Seems to be working. Okay. So the next thing to check is here in the back, the voltage. And it is set to 230 or 220, I can't read it, so I'll have to change that. So we have a lot of electronic connections to make, and I want to make sure that I make those electronic connections correctly. So I'm going to get out the instruction manual, plug in the wires, there's several here, to every place that it goes, and then I will be back once I've done that. Okay, so we've got all of the wires hooked up. It wasn't that hard. I just wanted to make sure that I was concentrating on it fully because I didn't want to plug in a wire the wrong way. So there was a small connection to make here, another to make here for this motor. Then this cable came all the way up and it plugged in here and it snakes along and it plugs in up here at the printer head, and then I use these little fasteners to hook it to the tube that takes the filament down to the print head. Then I had to hook up this screen, and then I had to hook up this little sensor that detects when this thing has reached far enough down so it doesn't crash into the bed. And that is pretty much it. There is one last thing to do, and that is to peel up this. Very sticky. Okay. So this bed hooks in with these two tabs here, and it clips in the back. And this is a piece of glass that is very flat, hopefully, and it is coated with a surface that has little small holes. You may be able to see them in the camera or not, just basically a dot pattern. And that helps the plastic adhere to the print bed when it is hot, but then when it cools down, all those little holes help release the plastic off of the bed. So this heats up to quite a bit, sometimes around 170 to 200 degrees, and then this here heats up as well to melt the filament. So that should be everything unboxed and put together. So then in my next learning 3D printing video, I will have had it set up, I will have run it once or twice, and I can start to show you how it works. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I know it was a little bit chaotic, a little bit different than the videos that I normally do. I don't think I've ever unboxed anything quite this complicated. So I hope that you enjoyed watching. And if you'd like to see more in this series, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye.